South Carolina Republican Congresswoman Nancy Mace joins us now. She's a member of the Veterans Affairs Committee. The Taliban is surging in Afghanistan as the U.S. continues this withdrawal, Congresswoman. And what we are expected to hear from President Biden, bottom of this hour, as he speaks from the White House, is a diplomatic solution he is expected to pitch. How do you see this going so far? And what is your criticism of the White House with this withdrawal?
Well, I actually want to praise the administration for the withdrawal of troops in Afghanistan. This was a policy that also former President Trump supported. I come from a family of veterans. I have family that are serving today that get deployed frequently. One of the things that is, I think, a forgotten fact and figure in the troop withdrawal is that the Department of Defense has over 16,000 contractors still in Afghanistan, and they'll remain there. 6,134 of those are American citizens, and that's more than double of the number of remaining troops that are in Afghanistan today. So we're not going to have a completely blank footprint over there. Those individuals, those defense contractors, are training Afghanistan law enforcement and soldiers to protect themselves and their country as well.
The criticism from your party, I should say, is the vacuum that this leaves and the surge of the Taliban, what happens next, and what ultimately we see happen as that environment is replaced. John Kirby, speaking from the Pentagon, suggested that this is not us turning our back on that region. Listen to this.
We're going to continue to assist the competency and the capability of Afghan forces going forward after the drawdown. It'll include some financial support, some logistical support, some technical support, some aviation support to include the provision, addition to their aviation fleet of helicopters and aircraft. So we're not turning our back on our Afghan partners.
So what do you expect to hear from the Biden administration when the president speaks bottom of the hour then?
Well, I do believe that'll be the message coming out of President Biden, that we're not turning a blind eye to this. We've had our men and women in uniform. They have served valiantly almost 20 years to avenge the deaths of over 3,000 people and literally crush al-Qaeda. And one of the things that I don't want to be lost in all of this by anyone on either side of the aisle right now is that we have over 16,000 Department of Defense contractors over there that are still working and training Afghan soldiers and law enforcement and police. So we're not totally out of the woods out of there, but our soldiers need to come home. It's time. We have men and women that are serving in Afghanistan that weren't even born when 9/11 happened. And I want to ask the American people today is how many lives more do we have to lose on foreign soil in Afghanistan? We've done a remarkable job over there, and we'll continue to do so.
Fair enough. As we mentioned, top of the hour, we come to you as a mother of two when we look at what is happening in our nation's schools, critical race theory, obviously as a congresswoman as well. I'll ask you about this statement by Randi Weingarten, head of the second largest teachers union in this country, and her criticisms of the GOP. Listen.
There are legislators, mostly from the Republican Party, who are currently bullying teachers and trying to stop us from teaching kids honest history. Look, maybe they're just trying to raise the temperature on race relations because of the next election.
Is your party bullying teachers over this theory being taught in our schools?
Well, the last time I checked, bullying would be literally arresting a parent at a school board hearing who was exercising their First Amendment right. And it was on Fox News earlier this week where I heard about the father of a student in Virginia who was arrested for speaking out against critical race theory. And I myself, as a Republican, have been a victim of political violence. My house was just graffitied 4 weeks ago. And so we're seeing divisions on both sides of the aisle. We're seeing political violence ratchet up. And to point fingers and to continue to label the left or the right that way is just wrong. We've got to take responsibility and be accountable to parents, particularly on a Marxist ideology that's being shoved down the throats of American children, teaching them that they are inherently racist, and that's wrong.
It seems some parents feel, and you listen to some of these boardrooms across the country, it seems that some parents feel they're being removed from the equation, that it doesn't matter what they think, that it doesn't matter if they're critical of this being taught in our schools, that this ultimately is a decision by the teachers' unions.
Right, but teachers unions and school boards ought to be held accountable to parents. That's the whole purpose of it. I remember just a few years ago, my kids were in elementary school at the time, and they had a government assignment, and they told me that socialism was better than democracy and communism. I literally had to pull over the car on the side of the road, get off the exit, and have them explain it to me, and then push back on them and say, you know, that's not true. Let's talk about your $5 allowance a week. Socialism, I get 4 of it. I get to keep 4 of it, and the $1 you get, I get to tell you how to spend it. And they quickly changed their mind after that. And I asked myself at that time, what are we teaching our children these days?
That's remarkable. That's remarkable. And it sounds like you nipped that one in the bud with your own children.
But they're fiscally conservative now, trust me.
Interesting. Interesting. When it comes to their own dollars, how you can really make them listen, right? Congresswoman, thank you for your time. Appreciate it.